Welcome, everyone, to episode 52 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H, 1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide a saber or an épée.
Let's just talk about it.
That's right. We're going to be talking about Boyfriend Dungeon this episode. This game is developed by Kitfox Games. Came out back in August of 2021. I play this on the PC and it came out to a whopping 1.78 gigabytes. Tom?
Maybe it's just a rounding thing. Maybe it is the same on the Xbox One, but Xbox One recorded it as 1.8 gigabytes.
Okay.
I'm willing to accept that as margin of error. Maybe it's the same size.
Probably. What kind of game is this, Tom?
I have it down as a dungeon crawler dating sim.
Okay. As soon as I died once, I was like, this is a dating roguelike.
Yep. I guess it is.
They snuck a roguelike into this freaking game. They lulled me into a false sense of hope. Yes, this is a roguelike. But what's the game loop, Tom?
You go on dates with people who are also weapons, but you use them in the dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah. And you find them sometimes at the dungeon, too.
Yeah, that's true.
I just wrote, go through a dungeon with weapons you date. There is I think one or two characters that are not weapons that you can potentially date.
Like the smith.
Yes, the smith, that guy. Anyway, let's get into what we liked about this game, Tom.
I loved that one of the first things, so you meet your cousin, and your cousin's kind of breaking down the game to you in a sort of way. And a great way to meet people is to go into dungeons. Yeah. And I'm like, excuse me? And so the mall is a dungeon where you fight your inner demons.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I get what you're saying. This is a metaphor, right? And it's
kind of a stretch, but yes, go.
It's a metaphor, but but that's the game. It's you'll have to fight things, but your brain is creating the things. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it as a vehicle to put combat into a dating sim, because how else would you, right?
Right. Yeah. I did enjoy the intro music. I think the music overall was pretty good in this game.
It's interesting that I didn't really notice the music a lot or at all. Really? And that's, for me, and a lot of times that's okay. That's good. That means I was probably more invested in some other aspect of the game.
True.
But it's interesting that you bring out that you like the music. I didn't really notice it.
Yeah. I thought some of the artwork was pretty good, and then some of it wasn't. I don't know. I think they did a great job with the character artwork. When you meet characters and all that stuff, that was good. But then when you were traversing through the world, I was like, all right, it's okay.
Yeah. It does have two kind of distinctly different art styles. Mm-hmm. And one of them is very a very indie, this is a top down or side scrolly kind of isometric indie action game.
Yep.
And then it has all of the character art and what I put down as magical girl transformations where the characters turn
Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Sailor Moon style, right? Where except they're not turning into Sailor Scouts, they're turning into weapons.
Yeah.
And that I thought was pretty good. And I think it sounds like you did too, where it was oh, okay, this is very anime and things are changing from people into weapons and back and forth. And then it has kind of a just kind of basic indie art style for the actual combat of the game.
like if they took the time to make the dungeon crawling look as good as that artwork, like
yeah,
this game would be so much better in my eyes.
I could see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because then Hades would have some competition for sure.
Yeah,
I would think.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So, what else did you like about this game?
Okay, it definitely seems like I have a more likes than you do, but that's okay. I think the item descriptions are silly and fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was like plastic, a modern marvel, or something like that, and then it was like there were other examples. I can't remember. It had glass, and glass, it said the evolved form of sand. Like, I was like, all right.
I mean, I do appreciate it. The humor was pretty good in this game. I'll admit to that. It was pretty good.
And then it sounds like you didn't really like the art all that much, but generally I did like the kind of indie style art that they used. It's not as good as Hollow Knight's, you know. It's certainly more colorful than Hollow Knight's.
Yeah, that's true.
But even still, I think picking a style for your game, no matter what that style is always better than not picking one. Like trying to be hyper realistic works for today, but will not work when you try to go revisit the game in 5 years. A game like this, even with this art style, which isn't amazing, but it's good, is playable.
Probably lasts longer. Yeah, for sure. I get what you're saying.
And I do have one more, but go ahead.
No. Actually, you go ahead. I want to agree with you on what you're going to be talking about.
Okay. So the only other thing that I really have here that I needed to talk about was the cell phone. And I just really like because it's a dating sim, right? So like it's a dating sim made in 2021. Right. So like, how are you not going to have cell phone conversations like integrated into this thing? Like they're just, you know, if it's set in the modern world or something like it, you know, cell phones are ubiquitous. So I liked that, like those cell phone conversations felt like real cell phone, you know, like text chains that you might have with other people in the, you know, in the real world.
Really, Tom?
Well, maybe not 100%.
Go?
No, not exactly. But, you know, like you have a mom character and the mom character's, you know, being very supportive and like sending you these texts that she loves you and like checking in on you and stuff like that. And I was like, this is funny, you know? And like she threatens at one point, like if somebody hurts you, she's like, just sends a bunch of like knife emojis. And I was like, this is like, this is what being on the phone with these kinds of people is like.
That's true.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say in your notes, the leaving people on red. Like I did that so many times. It was great. That's true. Because like I have to say that Smith guy was really trying to get in your pants real fast, and I was like, "Chill out, man. You gotta take it easy." But like, oh my god, it was. I think eventually I got him to like stop talking to me, which was great because he was a bit aggressive. Which I guess we can segue into what we don't like about this game.
Sure, but the reason I mentioned that's the sort of stuff is I thought it's cool that like if you don't text back like that character, some of the other characters, because like you're getting bombarded with text on some level, right? It's like a lot to manage, and you're trying to like date 5 characters at once, right? Not a good idea. Don't do that.
No.
But when you're doing that, as a consequence, sometimes you don't answer everybody, and if you don't, they'll text you back. Like they're not just waiting for you to send a response. I mean, they are, but if you don't, and like a couple of days go by, you'll get another text from this character being like, like, did you get my message? And it's like I liked that. I liked that it felt real in that way, and it wasn't just perpetually waiting for you to respond.
Right.
Because mechanically, it would make more sense if you're like thinking of this like a game, right? It's like they're waiting for you to respond, and until you respond, they won't hit you back with a response. But like not responding is a response, right? Like,
yep.
So I appreciate that the game caught that, and like, so that made the cell phone conversations feel very like real.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead. On to dislikes.
Shall we go into dislikes? First of all,
I got plenty of those too.
Damn it, Tom. Another roguelite.
Yeah, you're never going to get away from these, Chris. They're too easy to make.
They're too easy to make. And I will say, again, back to our pal Smithy.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty aggressive in the way that they talk to you on text. Like he was literally like, "Hey, where are you? What are you doing? Like, let's go on a date." And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not that into you." Eventually, like he insulted my cousin, and I was able to call him like a loser, and then he stopped talking to me.
Okay.
So
the game does at the very beginning, and this is actually part of my qualms, is like at the beginning of the game, it's like, oh, there are like 14 trigger warnings. It's like, this game has all these things in them. Want to give you a heads up. And then right after that, it's like, oh, this character we call mom. And it's like, I mean, that's your mom. That's who it is, right? Like, and this character is going to send you supportive messages. Do you want to not get those?
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. To me, like the game felt overly protective, like overly sterilized. Like every other character's telling you to be careful or be safe. And I'm just like, this is just like, ugh. Yeah. To me, it was too much.
Yeah, that's true. What else? This is another game where why was some like halfway through a conversation, they'll have some pretty good voice acting, and then it just stops.
Yeah,
and it goes to the grunts and the and the and stuff like that. I'm like, but why? Why didn't you just complete the rest of the text?
Yeah, I didn't notice it until you just said it, but you're 100% right.
So that was kind of annoying. And since I play this on PC, I play this with a keyboard and mouse first because I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. I thought it was going to be more of a point and click game.
Sure.
You know, I was like dungeon crawler, dating simulator. Like I'm probably just selecting choices. Man, it was terrible playing this game. When you're going in through the dungeons, it was really bad.
I've got to imagine.
And then once I got on the controller, it felt so much better. But what else? Anything else you want to bring up about that you didn't like? Like the combat was pretty basic. You're right. There's a light and a heavy attack. There's a dodge.
Yeah. I wonder if at the higher levels, like, does that get better? Because as I advanced, all I really saw was like, pick this or this kind of options, and they were like, it makes this stronger. And I was like, that doesn't seem terribly deep. In terms of combat, I think you're probably just mostly light attacking, heavy attacking. I don't know how much.
Did you get to the girl, the dagger?
I did, but I didn't get to use her in the dungeon.
Because she, when you use the roll ability, she confuses your enemies, so they are essentially stunned.
So I think probably where the combat gets varied is which weapon you're using.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like any of the individual like weapons themselves are all that deep or interesting. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe as you play it that changes. But I could see that I really kind of only focused on one weapon. So maybe if I had spread that out better, I would have. I got trapped a lot in the talking to people. Like really? I did a lot more talking to people than I did dungeoning.
Oh, interesting. I was like talking to people, but then I'd be like, how do I get back into the dungeon? And
right.
I don't know. That was weird.
I do have a pretty big complaint, which is that it feels to me like in the first one, right? The first time you do the dungeon, like it gets to a point where the game just goes like, you die now, and it like hits you with a bunch of enemies, but not really any without warning, and in a way that it's like they want you to die there. And I don't like the idea that this is a game that gives you lots of choices, right? But a lot of the times it feels like all of these choices end up like terminate at the same place. Like they're very like surface level bullshit choices where it just feels like you don't like all these choices, but you don't really have a choice at all. Right. And I don't like that at all. It makes me mad or not mad, but like, well, just if I'm not actually going to have a choice, don't give me a choice.
Yeah. Just, but I mean, again, I think it's probably more of their way of showing the mechanics and stuff like that of the gameplay and all that stuff. So like, as soon as I saw myself die, I was like, oh God, that's a roguelike. I knew it. I freaking knew it.
On the picking back off of that though, right? Something that I'm surprised I know that you don't like the rogue style games, but this one is very generous with you. Like they expect you to die, and like basically are like, no, you're just gonna die, and when you die, that's fine. Like you don't lose any of your money, you don't lose any of the items you picked up. Like to me, I was like, do you like have to die? Like, is there another way to get out of the mall? Like, can I just walk back upstairs and leave? Like, or is the only way out of the mall to get so deep that you just die? And to me, it felt like, okay, so I guess death is just how you get out of the mall. Like it like totally robs it of anything. It's like
there's no purpose of the rogue aspect of it, I guess, right? Yeah.
Right. It just feels like, okay, so like just why not just always go, attack everything full tilt, and then you'll die, keep everything that you died, and you just do it again.
Jesus, hold on. Ooh. That was a lot of Skype noise.
Yeah, I heard that. So you're gonna have to cut that out.
I'm sorry, people. So anything else you want to bring up? Oh, okay. I will say this game does have cloud saves, and play anywhere is available. And I found on how long to beat, this game only takes 5 hours.
Ooh, that's good news.
5 hours. So, anything else you wanted to bring up too?
I will say, I think because it's only fair, I have heard of this game before we played it. I had seen a little bit of it at PAX East 2019, and because of that, I had installed it on my Xbox One prior to us rolling it, but I had not played it. So like it was a game that I wanted to play. I saw on Xbox Game Pass and was like, this is something I want to check out. I've been curious about. I had preloaded it, never turned it on because of life. Okay. And then it came up when we rolled, and I was like super jazzed that I would finally get around to trying it. So
okay,
that may affect my final decision.
Well, let's get into it. What is your final thoughts on this game?
Okay, so I did have some issues with the game when we first started. Just little things that irked me or made me not so crazy about it. But by the end of that hour of gameplay, which is, I think, us playing an hour sometimes is maybe the right amount of time. We've talked about this before, where it's like, how much time is the right amount of time to play something and really, figure out whether or not you're going to like it. I thought it got really interesting by the end of my hour, and I did not want to stop playing it. So I definitely think, especially knowing that it's only 5 hours total, I might finish this game. Who knows? Yeah. But I'm definitely down to try playing more. especially after unlocking the dagger lady and not really getting to interact with her much at all. So I want to try it out.
Is this 2 in a row?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is.
Wow.
I'll admit that I think I'm more jazzed about this one than I was Hollow Knight.
Okay. I'm going to say I don't like roguelites.
Yeah, that's fair.
But being as this game is short and I got to the dagger girl, I was compelled to keep going because I wanted to get on a date with her. So all these guys kept coming after me. I was like, look, man, I get it. Maybe it was my fault for assuming boyfriend dungeon meant I was the boyfriend. I didn't realize I was getting boyfriends.
Yes.
But once I got her, I was like, hey, all right, now I'm compelled to keep going.
I was you're right? Like the game is called Boyfriend Dungeon because you encounter lots of boyfriends in this dungeon, right? That's what it is. But I was kind of surprised that they didn't have a little bit more flexibility in the first couple of characters that you run into, because the game is very clear, like you're going to be able to date all kinds of people. We accept all kinds of genders and all sexual preferences. And at the first, it's like all very like, they're all dudes. And it's like, well, if you're a dude playing this and you're, straight, this may be a problem for you.
Yeah.
And then eventually you start running into other characters. But I'm surprised that it wasn't a kind of more gave you a wider spectrum at the beginning, or maybe gave you some boxes to check to kind of target who came after you.
Yeah.
Considering how hand-holdy other aspects of the game is. Like,
it was true because it was like you totally get thrown into that like choice of like, oh no, you're here to date guys now. It's like, but I don't want to right now. Like yeah, I get they're flirting with me. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I wanted to see what's the other talent around here, at Verona Beach. But anyway, that was a long-winded way of me saying, yeah, I think I'm going to keep playing this game. And despite it being a roguelite, I will keep playing this game.
Yeah, well, all of the rough edges are filed off for you, Chris. There's no...
Yeah, that's true.
When you die, you just keep going. So
right. So those are our thoughts on this game. Let us know what you guys think. You can always hit us up on Twitter at TC1H1 at TC1H1D. Comment down below on the YouTube video, or shoot us an email at tc1h1d@outlook.com. Or, I forgot to say this last time. Obviously, we play these games on Twitch. So twitch.tv/1h1d. That's what we're always at. And, we're part of the QTV network. So be sure to check out the streamer Kung Fu Penguin, serving up Fortnite, Minecraft, and a whole other bunch of family-friendly content. He even does like D&D stuff too. So, yeah. And you can learn more about him at quitthebill.com/Kung Fu Penguin. So, Tom, we got to do it.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time to find out what we're playing next. So surprise me, buddy. Surprise me button. Surprise us, please.
Thank you, Chris.
Here we go. Okay.
And
The Procession to Calvary.
I have no idea what that is.
Me neither. But we're going to be playing that soon. It is, it looks very like those old, like Leonardo da Vinci's paintings and stuff like that, or Monty Python style art style, it seems.
All right.
But that's what we're going to be playing next. And we'll be talking about that on our next episode. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in this time, and we will talk to you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.